So I'm going to tell you a little story about why I started up Urban Pirate, my clothing brand, based in Scotland. Hi, my name's David. I operate Urban Pirate Apparel, a clothing brand based in Glasgow in Scotland. I officially started Urban Pirate in 2010, creating designs based around Scotland, inspired by Scotland, and for people that wear kilts. To start off with, I need to go a little bit before 2010. I graduated college and university. I had studied illustration and graphic design, and I was looking for a job. Unfortunately, at the time, there were no jobs available. So I thought, well, I'll use my skills to create artwork that I could sell at market stalls and craft markets and things like that. I came up with the name Urban Pirate because I wanted to have something that would stick in your mind with people that would be like, what's that about? What's curious, the curious nature of trying to find out the information about the name. And the idea was urban being modern and like graffiti and, just colourful plays and design. And the pirate side of things, the idea was that it was a bit of a rebellious company against your standard designs that were already out there, something a bit different to the norm, and standing up for yourself. So the first event I attended was the World Pipeman Championships in Glasgow. That was in 2009, the summer of 2009. So we started off quite big straight off the bat, but it was only prints and I think pin badges I had. I'd never done any events before, so everything was new to me. So once the event was over, I had a look to see what else I could put my artwork onto. So I thought t-shirts would be a good idea. So I started to get inspiration from what people might want to see. So late 2009, I was walking through Edinburgh. I was looking at the Royal Mile and the gift shops that were selling t-shirts there. And I was looking at them and I was thinking, these are all a bit rubbish. They're all crass humour, they're all a bit crude, a bit jokey. There was no serious design for Scottish visitors or for Scottish people. So I thought, I can do better than this. I wanted to create designs that I would like to wear and also, as I say, would look good in a kilt. So I started to create designs about things that I found interesting about Scotland. So things like haggis, stags, Highland cows, Irn-Bru, quintessential Scottish things. So I created a few designs, and then it was a case of I need to find someone to print these t-shirts for me. Once we had the t-shirts, we created a website. Then I started looking at events that we can take the t-shirts to sell. So we applied to a few local markets and they were okay. We started looking at other events that we could maybe attend. And I remember when I was a child, we used to go to an event in my village called the Highland Games. At the time, I thought it was just a one-off. It was just that games and that was it. As it turns out, Highland Games happen throughout all of Scotland throughout the entirety of summer. So from May to the beginning of September, every weekend there's a Highland Games somewhere in the country. So the Highland Games is very much like a Scottish version of the Olympics. You've got cycling racing, you've got road racing, you've got hill running. But the main event is the heavy events. So with the heavy events, you have the caber tossing, which is the main sport associated to Highland Games. So there was an option to travel to all these events, set up a stall and sell the t-shirts to visitors and locals alike. So every weekend throughout the summer in 2010, I was at a Highland Games. Downside is it involves a lot of travelling. There's a lot of bagpipes being played, so you end up coming home with a bagpipe tinnitus, which is essentially like regular tinnitus is the ringing of your ears, but it has a sound of bagpipes to it. So you're hearing Highland Laddie in your sleep. So I'd created the designs, I've got an event, and we've been doing that for a few years, and that's been really good. We also started to do wholesale trade shows where we would create our design, take our designs and sell them wholesale to other gift shops. And that's something I still do today. I've not been to a trade show for a while, but that might change in the future. So after a couple of years doing Highland Games, we started to look at other events that we could maybe take for designs. A lot of customers were recommending a few places to go. Some might work for us, some might not. But one of these events was in Fort William, which was the Downhill Mountain Biking Championships. So we got ourselves set up with a brand new stall. So everything was all branded and printed and looked great. We weren't too sure what to expect when we were going to this event. We're selling tea towels and t-shirts to customers that are interested in extreme sports, people that are very brand orientated, that wanted something that enforces their love of the sport. But it was not something that we needed to worry about. The event was brilliant. The people that came to it were really, really nice. Sadly, that event doesn't exist anymore, at least not right now. So hopefully it'll come back and we can attend again. So I was looking at new events. We did a few that weren't as good as that one. We had attended the Girls' Day Out in Glasgow with the thought process that there would be people there that will buy for their husbands or for their boyfriends or for their sons. But that didn't really happen. But that's okay. These are things happen. You know, events aren't always suited to what you do. But you don't know about these events until you try them and see what happens. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, give it another go and it might work the next year. If it doesn't, I wouldn't bother going back. Likewise with some of the Highland Games. A few of the Highland Games we've been to haven't quite worked in our favour. There was one Highland Games where we sat and tried to count mobility scooters. Our record currently is 17. I'm not going to tell you which Highland Games that was, but we have not been back to it. So after 8 years, we were looking at other events that we could maybe attend. Festivals were starting to pop up in our thought process, so we thought we'll try and get something there. A few of the festivals in Scotland don't quite fit our demographic, so we were kind of limited to which ones we could attend. But we found a great one in Belladrum, the Tartan Heart Festival up by Inverness. It's a good mixture of people. Everyone's really there to have fun. It's a good family festival, and I've likened it to like a miniature version of Glastonbury. So we found another couple of great events to attend, and so we just kept going with the Highland Games, all these other festivals, all these other wee markets that we've been doing. And what we're noticing is that we're starting to miss out on sales. Unfortunately, if we'd sell out at an event, it would take about 4 weeks to get restocked because it's summertime. Everybody's busy, everybody wants t-shirts. So we had to think, what else could we do? That made me think about taking on the responsibility to actually printing the designs myself. Now, going through college and university, I have a little bit of knowledge and experience with screen printing, but not enough to kind of create a business out of it. So I signed up to do some printing classes in my local college. It was only paper printing, but it was experience nonetheless. So that way, I would be able to learn how to print, and then if I sold out of a design at an event, I could print it again for the following event. So after the college course, I found a textile printing startup called PrintClan. So it's a community-based textile printing company based in the south side of Glasgow. So I signed up with them and started to learn how to print on the t-shirts, learning the basics, such as what inks to use, what screens to use, what equipment to use, and just learning how to do it. So we're in the south side of Glasgow for about 8 months. So PrintClan was expanding, and so they needed to relocate to the city centre. I helped them move. I had a van. It was a bit easier for me to help transport things back and forward. I helped set up their printing table. I used my DIY skills to create a drying room for them as well. And I also helped build a washout booth, which used a shower tray and wet walls. It was very much a DIY job to begin with. Thankfully now they've improved their equipment. The drying room is still there, but they have a new exposure unit. They've got a proper washout booth. So this was late 2019. Everything was going great. We were printing away. I was learning the ropes. I was learning how to print. And then March 2020 happened. And then everything stopped. Everything just ground to a halt. Luckily enough, I was able to keep the website operating. And I was able to pick up a part-time job in a local hardware store, which were the only shops that were operating at that time. So a few months later, once we were allowed to leave the house, I was able to access the studio again to keep learning how to print. Thankfully, it's easy to social distance when it's just yourself. So I'm printing away, I'm making mistakes, but I'm sticking at it because the only way you learn is by making mistakes. So I kept printing and I started to make fewer and fewer mistakes. So a few months later, everything else started to open up. Everyone was getting busier, people were starting moving around again. The studio, the PrintClan studio had started to get busier again as well, which was great. But it also meant I had less time to print myself in the space. So I decided it was time to move out. Lucky for me, I had a garage in my back garden that I would be able to use for a printing studio. The garage just needed a little bit of renovating. So I cleared all the rubbish out, replaced the doors. I insulated the building as best as I could. I got power put into it. I built a drying booth. I built my exposure unit. Got all my equipment that I needed, and I was ready to go. Once we started to attend events again with Hillmen Pirate, I wanted to change the USP a little bit. I was still keeping the Scottish designs, but I was more focused on the ethical side of the business. I was printing t-shirts using water-based inks. I was printing onto t-shirts that were made with a carbon neutral process, 100% organic cotton. So I wanted to push the ethical side of the designs, whilst also looking to improve my processes and printing techniques, which then brings us up to now. So now I have started up a YouTube channel to improve my social media presence. It's something I had never intended to do. I've always been a bit of a background player, but these are the nature of things, and because of everything that's becoming more AI and automated, I wanted to show and explain that my brand is me. I design, I create, I produce, I sell, I do everything essentially myself with support from my family. But I'm not an automated machine. I don't just use large stickers to create my designs. I put passion into my projects and I want to tell people about it. So doing this also means I can connect to you more. So I want to get feedback from you. So designs that you would like to see, information that you want to get from me, like to show you more effectively what I do and not just tell you about it. If you have any questions you want to ask about how I make my t-shirts or even just in general about things that are going on, I'm more than happy to try and answer those questions. Hopefully with more videos coming out, I'll be able to show you some behind the scenes, the inspirations behind my work. So if you'd like to let me know what you'd like to see in this channel, if there's anything of interest, whether it be with screen printing, Urban Pirate as a brand, or Scotland, I'm quite happy to try and answer those questions. So you managed to make it to the end of the video. Thanks very much. Give it a wee thumbs up. Give it a subscribe if you want to see more. And if you've got any questions, just let me know in the comments below. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks very much. Bye.